presentation of his farewell address, once again I bring to the podium outgoing Governor Niall Deal.
All right, guys. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
All right. First of all, it is important that we thank the American Legion and the Sons of the American Legion for spending their time, money, and effort to sponsor the camp that we are also privileged to attend. And if all the veterans would please stand up. Most of you are already standing because you're in the back and you're counselors. I would like to thank them and all other veterans for their sacrifices for our country and our freedom. Can we give them a round of applause? These men and women are the heart of our country and deserve great thanks. I encourage everyone to approach them at some point and thank them for their service. Before I begin my speech, I would like to congratulate all of the gubernatorial candidates for their excellent campaigns and courage to run. I would also like to say that I am honored to be succeeded by Angelo Cochiro. I believe I pronounced that right. I know I've asked you a million times. I'm sorry if it was wrong. And I would also like to say that I would have also been honored to be succeeded by Noah Zakwija as well. I think both of them ran a great campaign, and it was really hard fought all the way until the end. Next, if the party chairman, Zishan Chow and Ben Marzouk would please stand up. I'd like to invite them to the stage momentarily. I would like to thank them and all of their hard work to get their candidates elected and congratulate them for those who were voted in, as it would not have been possible without these two men. So, everyone that got elected should definitely be thanking them. Even if you didn't get elected, you should thank them because they worked their hardest to get you there. So everyone thank them. So without any further ado, I will continue on to my real actual speech part rather than thanks. Walt Disney, Oprah Winfrey, Abraham Lincoln, J.K. Rowling, Albert Einstein, and a magnitude of other icons. All of the most memorable people in history have one thing in common. Most might say talent, others might say it's their intelligence. But while those may help, they are not to be accredited to their success. Before all of the historic figures and media icons were successful, they all failed. Failure has two definitions to me, however. First, there's a literal definition of the word. That is, lack of success. The second definition, which I believe in more personally, is an individual who chooses to not continue after, at first, not succeeding. Here at Boise State, many of you could be used to winning or being more successful than your peers with little to no effort. While winning is nice and comfortable, failing is what truly molds the gifted individuals into world-changing leaders. Many of you have experienced failure this week, some possibly for the first time. The difference that separates the previously mentioned VIPs of the world and every other person that has failed in the world is their ability to learn from their failures and use that knowledge to not only humble themselves, but to succeed in the future. I, as governor of Boise State, as a student, as a friend, and as a son, have failed countless times. While I may not have utilized the failures as well as the aforementioned, I recognize their importance and strive to become a better man from them. As I end my term and pass the governorship on to Angelo, I hope he does the same. Failures may sometimes have a very large impact and sometimes have a very small impact. But as Robert F. Kennedy stated, only those who dare to fail greatly can achieve greatly. My grandfather always told me that if I was the most successful person in the room, then I was in the wrong room. I would like to challenge all the current and future Boise State citizens to fail and then rise up from that failure, a wiser and stronger person. In conclusion, I would like to wish Mr. Coach Cairo the best of luck in his term and the best of luck to Boys State and all its future years.
Thank you, Governor. I now call to the stage for the purposes of introduction our legal advisor, Mr. Brandon Flower.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon, sir. I have the pleasure to introduce to you the individual who's going to be performing the swearing in of your newly elected state officials. It's with great pleasure that I introduce to you the Honorable Kurt Hall, Circuit Judge for the 26th Judicial Circuit, covering both Lewis and Upshur counties. So Judge Hall is the actual circuit judge that covers Lewis County, where we are here today. Judge Hall has served as judge for the last year and a half in Lewis County. Prior to that, he had also served as judge in Lewis and Upshur County upon an appointment from the governor to fill an unexpired term. He recently was elected to a new judicial position in Lewis and Upshur County. Prior to that, he served as an assistant prosecuting attorney in Harrison County for many years. Was a very successful assistant prosecuting attorney, one which that I looked up to and admired in my career as an assistant prosecuting attorney. And he also has worked in private practice as a defense attorney and just an attorney in general. Prior to that, he took an unlikely route from probably most judges and judicial officers in that prior to and during college, he worked as a coal miner. So he knows what it means to get his hands dirty, to work in the dirt, to work hard, and what a working man does. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome, and I'd like to hear a rousing Boys State welcome to the Honorable Kurt Hall.
Well, thank you all, and what an honor it is to be here in front of and with West Virginia's finest young men. And I say that every year. I've been here a number of years, but it is an honor and a privilege. It's an honor and a privilege to be in the company of young men and adults that are patriotic as well. And I really appreciated the singing of the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm not going to take up a lot of time telling you about myself. I will tell you, though, I grew up in Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, but my folks are from Webster County, West Virginia. So they grew up, and if I told you they were dirt poor, I'd be lying to you. They were underneath the dirt poor. But my dad was successful. He was limited education, but he came from a time where you could walk in a factory and get a job, and that's what he did. And he made a pretty good life for himself for a guy that never made it out of the 8th grade and sometimes didn't have shoes or even decent clothes to wear. And my mother, who's still alive, will always say, "Oh, I'm so proud of you boys because I have a brother who's also an attorney. You've come so far." But I always remind her, I said, I really didn't have to come very far. My mother and father got me to that point, and I think I went about that much further. But I owe it all to them. So always remember your mother and father. Anyway. So we'll begin with the swearing in of the officers. First, the Supreme Court justices. If you'll come up on the stage here. And again, I appreciate the Pledge of Allegiance. My belief is if you're going to swear an oath to hold an office, you should first swear an oath to this country. So we've got mass standards if you want. And repeat after me. Raise your right hand. All get in there on the Holy Bible if you place your left hand on the Bible. And repeat after me. I, and then state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the American Legion, Mountaineer Boys State. And
the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Next, the President of the Senate. And I'm going to apologize in advance. Some of these officers are a study in unusual surname. Is it Hedgebach?
Hedgebeck.
Hedgebeck. And you told me that, but I forgot. Mr. Hedgebeck, if you'll come forward, please. And again, if you'll raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me. I, Robert Hedgebeck,
I, Robert Hedgebeck,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the American Legionnaire Mountaineer Boys,
the Constitution of the American Legionnaire Mountaineer Boys State,
Legion, not Legionnaire, but very dutifully repeated it, and that I will honestly and faithfully
and I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
as President of the Senate,
as President of the Senate,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations. All right, next, the Speaker of the House of Delegates, Arpan Kumar. Arpan. Now, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Arpan Kumar,
I, Arpan Kumar,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
the Constitution of the American Legion of Mountaineer Boys State,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
that I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
as Speaker of the House of Delegates,
as Speaker of the House of Delegates,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations, sir. Next, your Attorney General, Jack Fenson. Left hand on the Bible, right hand on your right. Repeat after me. I, Jack Fensel,
I, Jack Fensel,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
and I will honestly and faithfully
and that I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
as Attorney General,
as Attorney General,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations. Commissioner of Agriculture, Wayman McCourt. Again, if you'll raise your right hand, to the extent you can, place your left hand on the Bible. Repeat after me. I, Wayman McCourt,
I, William McCourt,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
and I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
as Commissioner of Agriculture,
as Commissioner of Agriculture,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations, sir. Next, your treasurer, and again, I apologize in advance, Eric Cruciani, is that correct? I got it. If you'll repeat after me, I, Eric Cruciani,
I, Eric Cruciani,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
and the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
and that I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
and treasurer after me. I, Jack Strike Striker,
I, Jack Strike Striker,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
that I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
as auditor
as auditor
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations. Next, your Secretary of State, Mateo Sarasoli. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Mateo Sarasoli,
I, Mateo Sarasoli,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
and that I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
as Secretary of State
as Secretary of State,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations. And now your Governor, Angelo Kuchiri. Did I get it right? Close enough. Thank you. Thank you. Repeat after me. I, Angelo J. Kuchiri.
I, Angelo J.
Kuchiri. Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
the Constitution of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State,
and that I will honestly and faithfully
and that I will honestly and faithfully
perform the duties imposed upon me
perform the duties imposed upon me
under the provisions of law
under the provisions of law
as governor,
as governor,
to the best of my skill and judgment.
to the best of my skill and judgment.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I want to start off by thanking all of you for being here today, including the parents who are in the audience. I would first like to thank the Legionnaires and veterans who have made it possible for all of us to enjoy this experience here at American Legion Mountaineer Boys State. Their service to our country is unparalleled, and they deserve our respect and admiration. I could not be more thankful and impressed by the program you have all created for us and worked so hard to put on. We just held a general election yesterday evening, and so I want to thank everyone who participated, both candidates and voters. It takes a lot of courage to stand for elected office, and I think we should give a round of applause to all the candidates who competed. We had an enthusiastic exchange of ideas, and I can safely say that the spirit of democracy is alive at Jackson's Mill. I also want to thank the staff here at Jackson's Mill. I am incredibly grateful for our counselors and those in administration who have provided positive guidance and advisement. I would not feel so welcomed and supported if not for their steady leadership. Our Boys State counselors and administrators have been dedicated to ensuring each and every one of us gets the most out of this unique opportunity. Additionally, I want to thank Blake Humphrey, Art Zeckler, and the former governors of Mountaineer Boys State, George Capel, Nemo Ronagi, and our outgoing governor, Niall Deal, for their support and assistance they have provided to me through the transition. I am excited to begin the people's work of governing and to collaborate with other members of the government to legislate on behalf of all of us. Our impact here goes beyond Boys State through the bills we will forward to our state legislature and the generation of leaders that this camp will breed. When we all return home at the end of this week, we will bring with us the leadership qualities necessary to reshape our communities. We are all here because we are recognized as leaders by somebody in our lives, and we have an obligation to be leaders for a lifetime, and Boys State has provided us the tools to do that. Now, I would like to make mention of the fact that having only been in office for about 20 seconds now, we have already passed a resolution by our legislature here, and I would like to read it to you in full. This is a concurrent resolution that was unanimously passed by both houses of the legislature, and it has my full support. The resolution states, whereas citizens of Mountaineer Boys State have in years past had the privilege to travel to the West Virginia Capitol building for educational opportunities, and whereas it has become a tradition, and whereas the ALMBS is deeply saddened by the thought of us not going, and whereas the Board of Public Works and Legislature are deeply disheartened if the trip is not possible, and whereas missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and whereas 2017 ALMBS should not be treated any different than any past ALMBS, whereas this unique opportunity for ALMBS to learn from each other, therefore be it resolved, the citizens of Mountaineer Boys State express extreme disapproval over the last minute of the thought that the legislature would not travel to Charleston, West Virginia this year. That was a unanimous resolution passed by our legislature today, and I fully support it. I think we should be able to go to the state capitol tomorrow. Unfortunately, neither Governor Justice nor his Deputy Chief of Staff were able to be here for the inaugural speech, but I wanted to mention that because it was unanimous and has the full support of myself. So, in conclusion, I would like to thank the parents who are here, our camp counselors and administrators, all of the citizens who participated in the electoral process, and most importantly, our legionnaires and veterans. So thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.